They are both rebellion. They are both acts of, I control this, I will do as I please, thank you very much. They're both the flip side of the same coin. Third question. If it is an addiction, how does one quit? Do you mean I can never have any sugar ever again? Or if I do, it'll be the same as a relapse? Well, we're never going to say never because we're talking to the body of Christ, and we have a different viewpoint on life now, don't we? Don't we? But we are going to say this. There are some things that are put here on earth that are not good for you. It doesn't matter how much you pray. The bottom line is certain things are not put here for your consumption. The problem with weight loss or with this issue around food management is many of you, I don't want to say categorically no one, many of you don't want any rules. You buck the rules, but that's not how life is. The Bible begins with a rule. Just don't touch that tree. It doesn't matter what program you go to, everyone. Weight Watchers, it doesn't matter. Jenny Craig, Nutrisystem, blood type, gray sheet program, or Serenity weight loss and detoxification program. It doesn't matter. There are always going to be rules. That is life. And so certain things are just not good for you. The rule of thumb is if it's not natural, meaning God, if it's man-made, for the most part, you need to stay away from it. That's the bottom line. That's the truth. In fact, let me not tiptoe. If it's man-made, it's no good. Let me not tiptoe. If it's man-made, it's no good, period. Now, you may decide, well, that's too restrictive. That's cool. That I get it. But I'm just going, this is the rule. And when you break the rules, just like in Genesis, you eat from the wrong tree, the consequence is death. Now, notice, Adam and Eve didn't die immediately. That's not the analogy. The analogy is you are open to evil. You're open to death, meaning it's slow. You are open. You leave yourself vulnerable. That's what the analogy is. Likewise, and I hope the listeners are catching this. This is probably one of the most profound correlations that you'll ever hear. The issue that Genesis addresses the obesity epidemic. It did it long time ago. Can you believe that? It was covered. It's not new. June of 2013 is when your traditional doctor said it was a disease. Your Bible said it many years ago. God knew this was going to be a problem, and it was brought up in Genesis 1, somewhere around the 3rd chapter, and I know where it is exactly, in your 3rd chapter. And if you have a large print, maybe around page 10. If it's a small print, it's going to be no further past page 3. That's how basic this lesson is. Number 3. Does it mean you can never have sugar again? Well, let's give you a modern day example. I'm over the age of being considered young. I'm over the age of 50. And usually the young people are the ones that know computers best. That's fine. That's cool. I'm okay with that. I happen to know computers very well, but that's great. And I think that's a true statement, that young people are considered the ones who are most comfortable and most computer literate. However, as someone who's over 50, I'm here to say, and I will say this to any young person, but I have the most gigs. I have the bigger memory. I can carry the bigger database. And when you're buying a computer, that is a prized, cherished number. How many gigs does it have? In fact, the gigs determines the price. Have you noticed that, listeners? So no matter how proficient you are with the computer, with working the computer, the gigs determines the price of the computer. And so what I want all of you to do is I want you to start cleaning off that hard drive. Pastor Gaiter says, don't move. Stay still. I'm saying to you, and I'm asking you, while you're standing there, I want you to clear off that hard drive. Get rid of that virus that's been running around in your brain, making you think that obesity, your food issues, are something that it's not. Some mysterious, disease that only the doctor can define. It is not. It was covered in the Bible, which means it's covered by the blood. So, get understanding. That's in Proverbs. And all that getting, meaning your food, get understanding first. But I'm going to ask you to understand what Genesis says first. Don't eat from that tree means you don't eat anything you want. That was always the case. Don't miss the lesson. The tree was the knowledge of good and evil. Brings me back to the computer and the amount of gigs you have. Get understanding. Enlarge your memory bank, please. Enlarge your database. While you're not moving, clear the virus. Get rid of that virus, though. I do want you to do that. And then I want you to enlarge your database. Because the computer with the larger database, or the largest database, is the one that has the better price, ticket price. So there's obviously value in knowledge. So our analogy, you can pick from that tree, the tree of wisdom. That's fine. Likewise, I want you to choose to expand your database, get more understanding about what's going on underlying your food issues. Stop listening to the doctors who come out with this brainstorm literally less than 3 years ago, as if they figured something out. Please know there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to the Bible. It was already there, already deemed an issue around rebellion, an issue around control, and you simply wanting to do whatever you want to do contrary to the warning. And if you do not respond to the warning, it will lead you to death. And so, African Americans have the highest rate of obesity. I'm speaking to Christians, but I'm also speaking to the group of people who are most affected and infected by the obesity epidemic. I want you to Google fat in church. And I want you to see that they also report that the church has the highest rate of obesity. Now, this is not a viewpoint article that we're talking about. We're talking about research. There's data to support that Christians are the most obese, and by the way, it's the Christian religion that has the highest rate, exceeding Buddhists, exceeding Judaism, exceeding the Muslims. That is an embarrassment, ladies and gentlemen. So then now my last question is, why are Christians with the highest rate of obesity? And what is that? if you go back to the Bible, where it talks about eating from the wrong tree being rebellion and issues around wanting to be like God, then what is it? What is going on? Well, we have one other factor we haven't considered. I'm not here to change, but I am here to express facts. The Christian religion is the only one that doesn't have a code of eating, unlike all other religions, Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, the Muslim religion. In fact, many of us can rattle off what their do's and don'ts are. My point is this. I'm not here to say that Christians need rules, but I am here to say you do have them. Everyone has them. That's what I'm here to say. That is your takeaway. Rules exist, and that's it, period. And your fight against that and not accepting that truism in life is going to lead you to death. Why African Americans? Remember we said rebellion, anger, and issues around control. Think about it for a minute. Who are the people on this earth who would complain to you the most about feeling powerless and about feeling anger about the way they've been treated? So then is there any accident? Is there any wonder that it would be the African-American race? By the way, this is CDC statistics based in Atlanta, Centers for Disease Control based in Atlanta, who says that the African-American race is the heaviest race in the world, and the women of that race are heavier than the men. Therefore, African-American women are heaviest of any woman in the world. Now, what would cause that? In view of our model being Genesis 3, if you eat from that tree, you will be like God. That's the model. Okay, now, let's analyze. Then what does that mean for the African-American woman? Don't you think African-American women might be a little angry at the way they're treated? Do you think African-American women feeling powerless? If any of you out there, regardless of what race you're in, if you can say, oh my God, there is a correlation between how a group of people feel about their environment, meaning in control or powerless, and the amount of food they eat. Why haven't you heard this before? Why have so few people, if anyone, made this correlation? I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. Probably because it takes, number one, first, a Christian who has discernment of the word. Number two, then takes someone who, and there are many clergy, Pastor Gaiter for sure, but then it takes someone who also understands the food addiction. And that is where my strength is. Over 50, I have a fairly large hard drive in the area of nutrition and food. At the same time, understanding, and by the way, not of the entire Bible. I only claim to know Genesis, but I know Genesis really, really well. If that has helped anyone in the listening audience, I hope it is my prayer that you gain some understanding this evening. Lastly, what do we do about it? Now we're going to pull on our lesson from Pastor Gaiter. You're not going to move. You're going to stand firm. You're not going to be afraid. That's what you're going to do. You're going to stop running from the fear that you will never be able to do this, you'll never be able to lose weight, you'll never be able to leave certain foods alone that are not good for you. What to do? Pastor Gaiter said stop running from the fear. What to do? Stop running from family in your house who don't support you, including your weight loss goals. What to do?